Humans are Unnerving, Part 5. A story by user ZombieRedditer9188. I was deep in thought. Since it was the weekend, I had spent the entire morning researching humans, their culture, anatomy, and behavior. Frankly speaking, humans were completely normal. Their culture was average as well, with its fair share of good and evil events. Anatomically speaking, humans aren't anything special either. They were an in-between body, with balanced strength, speed, and flexibility. Behaviorally speaking, humans were too diverse to specify a common personality type. So why did I get so unsettled by Alan? I stood up for the first time in a long while, stretching. What time was it? I looked at the nearest clock, 9:20. Might as well relax, right? Grabbing only my essentials, I got into my car and began driving to a nearby VR cafe to unwind. I began playing some music, leaning back in my seat with my arms crossed as my car drove itself. I looked out my tinted window at the gleaming apartments, offices, and stores, and saw the few sentients here and there. Background was a decent city, maybe not one of the biggest or wealthiest, but it'd suit me for now. Finally, I arrived at the VR cafe, stepping out of my vehicle and walking up to the entrance. I walked through the front door, looking around before I froze. There was no way. The man, Alan Gardner, was only a couple of feet away, sitting in front of his coworker. What was her name? Rika? The kite looked nervous, her tail stiffened, but I couldn't tell how Alan was. Was he threatening her, or was Rika simply still shaken up by yesterday's events? I slowly reached for my taser, only stopping when Rika smiled, relaxing. I casually sat down a few tables behind them, straining to hear their conversation. I could still read Rika's body language. The young woman was acting calm now, although I still couldn't read Alan's. Not that there was much to read. I watched as the kite blushed, her tail curling up and fur puffing up slightly around her face and neck. I continued observing the two, trying to be discreet, as Alan walked over to his self-checkout counter, with Rika close behind him. I stood up and slowly walked to the self-checkout counter on the other side of the room from them, pretending to struggle with my settings. I could barely make out their speech, but it was enough. SS or Dash? Alan asked. And Rika answered, Dash, definitely. I agree, it's more exciting. There's more of a thrill, you know. S&S is more tactical, but there's something about getting to fight and kill more in Dash that's really fun, Alan murmured. It's more chaotic, and the AI feels more realistic. Instead of just playing aggressively or defensively, you can sense their emotion. You get what I'm saying? They can act scared and run away, and you get to hunt them down. Alan said, and I stiffened my antennas, straightening. Who was this guy? I'd need to perform a background check on him for sure. Suddenly, a bot rolled up beside me. Do you require assistance? It beeped, and I panicked. I do not. Go away, I hissed. But it persisted. Please repeat your statement in a slow, clear manner. I do not require assistance, I said as loud as I dared, turning around to see Alan and Rika heading towards the elevator to their VR room. Luckily, they hadn't noticed me. I could thank my black chitin and small frame for that. Not in the mood for VR anymore, I hurried back to my car, looking into the civilian database. I typed in Alan's name, and luckily there was only one result. Sure enough, it was him. Alan Gardner, 26, 23 galactic years, 5 foot 10 inches. Date of birth, April 4th, 2053. Planet of birth, Earth, native planet. Birth gender, male. Current gender, male. Race, human/Terran. Criminal record, none. Current employment, sales representative at Lunaris, 57K annually. Education, Eversteel High School, 82%. Frank Herbert University, 88%. I began to feel weird intruding on his privacy, and I started to feel guilty. How could I assume the worst of someone because of one encounter? No. I hardened my resolve. There was something wrong with that man, and I was going to find out what. I switched from him to his coworker, Rika. After a quick search of the company Lunaris, I was able to find a list of all the current employees. Sure enough, she was there. Rika Selen. I clicked on it, reading the information. Rika Selen, 25, 24 galactic years, 5 foot 9 inches. Date of birth, snowmelt, 10th, 2054. Planet of birth, Tassia, native planet. Birth gender, female. Current gender, female. Race, Kaif. Criminal record, none. Current employment, sales representative at Lunaris, $57K annually. Education, Greenpaw Later Education, 85%. Greenpaw University, 92%. With nothing better to do, I decided to wait outside the VR cafe, leaning back in my seat. I'd probably have to wait a while, but that was no problem. As a Nezoid, I was good at waiting. If you're new here, welcome aboard. Check out the description for the story and join the Discord if you like. Consider supporting the channel and the author as well. It's a dangerous world out there, but remember to be brave and look up to seek the stars.